folks, welcome to this week's Big Picture video for the Adventure Weekly Packet. We're excited that you're here because we're talking about one thing, words. Specifically though, names. This weekend, we talked about how words can create and destroy. Like fire, they can be destructive forces that just run rampant. Or they can create something such as warmth or food or nourishment, whatever the case is. They can both be creative and destructive, but it's the way that you use words that matters. And so this week, I would love for you as parents to think about the names that you have given your children. Now, some of them may be family names. You know, your great-grandfather was named Henry, and so your son is named Henry. They might be hip names, you know, like everybody was being named Emma 5 years ago or something. But whatever the case is, you have given your students names. And perhaps you've given them nicknames by this time, who knows. But I want you to think about the names that you have given them. And think about the names that they have in God's eyes. The Bible has many examples of people that have been renamed by God. We have James and John, who were renamed the Boanerges, the sons of thunder. Perhaps the most important example is Peter. Renamed from Simon, Jesus says, "You are now Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church." He's speaking truth into Peter's life by naming him. But, as we all know, Peter doesn't do so hot. He sticks his foot in his mouth oftentimes, and his words are not so creative. They're more destructive to his future. We know that when Jesus says that he is going to die, Peter says, "Well, let me die with you." And Jesus says, "I tell you the truth, you will deny me 3 times. Pete says, No, I'll never do that. Lo and behold, he denies him. But then Jesus reinstates him, and he brings his name back. Right? Peter went back to being Simon when he denied Jesus. But Jesus sits him down over a campfire, having a little fish fry, and he asks him 3 questions. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? He reinstates Peter. He renames Peter to Peter. He says, "I'm not going to kick you out of the group. I know you denied me. No, you are still Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church." He was given the name Simon by his parents, but he was given the name Peter by God himself. And so what name does your child truly have? You may be exasperated by them at this point in their life. You may think they're the worst hellions that's ever been loosed on this earth. But God has a name for them. Revelation 2:17 says, "To him or her who overcomes, I will give a white stone with a new name written on it, known only to him or her who receives it." This concept of the white stone, of this name that God has for us, is astounding. To think that we have lived our lives thinking that we are a certain person. But then God steps in and says, no, that's just your earthly name. To think that God, the creator of the world himself, identifies us specifically by name that he has given. And to think that one day we might become that name. And so this week I want you to spend some time perhaps just observing your student. Maybe not necessarily actively engaging with them in conversation, but observing your student. And ask yourself, okay, they're driving me insane right now, but what could be the name that God is giving them? Please, no bad names, okay? But what could be the name that God is giving them that they can grow into as Peter grew into his true name? This week, under Conversation Cues, you'll have a PDF of George MacDonald's unspoken sermon, The New Name. Now, George MacDonald was a pastor in Scotland back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So some of the language is definitely King James-ish. So you're going to have to bear with me and get through it. But I'll highlight the portions that really apply to what we're talking about. But I want you to spend some time this week thinking about that with your student. And after you've done some thinking, talk to them about it. Make some observations and say, listen, this is what I see in your life. You care for people. Or you're very courageous. Whatever the case is, as parents, when you speak truth into your child's life, that opens up a world to them. You have so much influence, and they have so much potential. Let's take some time this week to bring that together. We may not discover their true name. It may take a long time, as MacDonald says in his unspoken sermon. But at the very least, we can start that journey this week. And the words that you use with your student, they can create a new reality. If you have any questions, please let me know. My email is attached to the weekly packets, so please use that for advice or anything like that. This can be a very tough subject. Again, the sermon that MacDonald has is a bit olden, so you may not be able to get through some of the tougher parts. But anyways, any questions, please let me know. I'm here to help. Thanks so much. Have a great week.